Alrighty, all you beautiful people, how are we doing today? I figure we do some intro and extra songs. I've had that song. Go ahead and pause that. There we go. Sweet. Welcome to Derailed Conversations here on the Mythical Railroad channel. I'm going to be your host, Rayron VR, and welcome. Hello, Lynn. How you doing, good sir? How has the week treated you? But we got a few things to talk about. I'm going to try to keep this show to an hour. I know it's late for everyone, and I'll be doing my After Dark stream right after this one. All the links will be provided below. Also, you can find the link to that intro song down below. It's going to be something just to get the people in here, just something for the stream. So something I wanted to do because I do some DJing off the side. So I was like, you know what? I need to add some copyright-free music to the streams. So just okay. Gotcha. All right, so we got a few things to talk about. So I've got my agenda here. So the big boy has completed his mission. Let's go ahead and bring up the schedule here. The big boy 4014 has come home. All right, so this was the schedule for the Big Boy 4014. It was on its Eastern tour here. You can see here was the map of it. That's always fun. Cleaning, yep, I know that feeling. And stuff you didn't know you had just popped out of nowhere. That's happened to me all the time. So yeah, it arrived, I believe it was yesterday or a couple days ago. Let me double check the Twitter feed here. But the tour is over. They haven't announced their next tour yet. So yeah, it arrived back at Cheyenne on Tuesday the 7th. So now the big boy is getting its rest. One cool thing they did about the big boy, though, is that when it was going from Denver to Cheyenne, Wyoming, they actually put the one of their heritage units. You know, last year we were talking about the heritage units, and I think it was the 1989, the Denver Rio Grande heritage unit was actually coupled to 4015, which is a diesel helper, along with 4014. It was quite a spectacle to see. I wish I had the opportunity to go to the Fairplex, but work prevented me from going. I really wanted to go see it. But I think with my next job, I should be able to see it if it does the Eastern Tour again, when it goes down into Louisiana, potentially. Or if I actually go to Cheyenne, that's a possibility too. There will definitely be opportunities for me in the future to go see it, no doubt about it. And in the future, I plan to retire in Cheyenne. So that's definitely just because of how much of a railroad historic city that is. Because I've been there several times, and I absolutely love Cheyenne. I love Wyoming. So definitely we will have Big Boy 4014 content on this channel. It's just going to take a little bit of time to get there. But yeah, they haven't announced where they're going to go to next. They're probably going to have some much needed downtime, repair work, oiling work, all that good stuff. Oh, so it was at the museum. Okay, the Fairplex Museum. Or the, I forgot what museum was down there before it got restored. Gotcha. I didn't recognize. I was thinking about, oh, when it came down here 2 years ago. Can't remember top of my head. Yeah, when you're talking about on status display. No, I wasn't living in California when they had it on static display. But yep, so the big boy is complete. It is resting back in the Cheyenne shop. Let me see if we can find some pictures of the big boy with, or the train with the Rio Grande. Let's see if we can find that real quick. 2014 with Denver Rio Grande. See if we can get some images here. Mm-hmm. Okay, probably be with 1989 the number. But yeah, when they were getting ready to leave, or when they arrived back in Cheyenne, they kind of did a nose-to-nose photo opportunity. It was pretty cool. They had the Denver Rio Grande Heritage Unit along with the big boy kind of nose-to-nose for photo ops. And I think that was a nice touch to end the tour. Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. I can't seem to find the pictures. But if I find it, I will show it to you guys. But it was such a nice ending because, I've been kind of watching the big boy from when it started. Just watching through YouTubers, through on the board. Okay, let me see here. Oh, sir. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not seeing it right now. Let me see if I can do it this way. See, Denver. Okay, just pause this real quick. Oh, yep. Okay, so here we go. I'll bring this over. So, yep, there is UP19. This is Runaway Train Productions that I found it. Let's subscribe. So, yep, there is 1989. Beautiful shots here from Runaway Train Productions. This is one that was on status display. Looks like they got to go inside of it, inside the train. That's pretty cool. What more outside shots? Okay, so this is when they had it nose to nose. Yeah. That is probably the best shot right there. So yep, there's our Heritage Unit Rio Grande 1989. Again, that was such a nice touch to end their tour. And that's one thing I just love about Union Pacific. They love to do little Easter eggs and just do things on the fly. So on the train home from Denver to Cheyenne, 1989 was coupled behind 4015, and the three engines went home. It was just beautiful. So, and that concludes the tour. So when the next tour happens, I will continue to follow it we'll follow it each week on where it's at, and then we'll just report on it. And I'll try to do a better job on who all's covering it, where we can find all the pictures, and just make an album of that so I can better showcase it for you guys. Because I love my Union Pacific, and I definitely love my big boys. So that is going to be something I'm going to be focusing on a little bit more going into the future. Alrighty. So what's the next thing we got here? So that is the big boy 4019. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about really caught my eye because it really brought me back home, because I'm originally from Utah, and Utah has this mass transit system called the UTA. Let me go ahead and bring that up for you guys. So if you ever do visit the northern part of Utah, UTA, they have this train network that is second to none. I mean, I don't want to say second to none because you obviously got subways in New York and so on and so forth. But Utah has a Utah Transit Authority, and they have the Bombardier Cars. They have this engine called the Front Runner. I'll go ahead and share that with you guys. So it services the three major cities in Utah, which is Ogden, Salt Lake City, Provo. And they have these Bombardier cars called the Front Runner rapid transit. So let me see if I can find some pictures here. And of course, they don't give me good pictures here. Let's see if I can find a better one. Yeah, this is good. Okay, so this is kind of the schedule and so forth, the prices. But up there you can see there's the I can't remember what type of engine they use, top of my head, but they also use a single story. But then in the back they use Bombardier cars. So I do have some of these in DC. I eventually want to get some of these engines in DCC. But the reason why I brought these up is that these Bombardier cars can be really expensive nowadays because they're not really mass producing them up until recently. So, this is what I want to show to you guys. Athearn Genesis has announced that they're going to be re-releasing their Bombardier fleets. I'm going to clean this up a little bit here. I'll probably see if I can find some Front Runner videos here. Okay. So they just announced they're going to do another re-release of their Bombardier fleet. So we've got a couple here. RTR. There's some Ace ones. And then obviously the one I'm heavily biased towards. Here's the UTA Front Runner. So when I saw that this was going to be announced, I was super excited because I want to get more of these cars. I'm a big fan of Bombardier cars. Even though they are a pain when it comes to the radius, they do require easily a 20-inch plus radius turns. If you go any smaller than that, the chassis, the trucks on the chassis will hit the side of the frame itself. That's one of the issues that I ran into when I was running the first series of these Bombardier cars that came out. So it's definitely something you have to take into consideration if you get these type of cars. But yeah, they're doing a 3-pack, 1-pack. So they're doing the Metrolinks. So definitely from my local area, I got the Metrolink cars. And from what I recall, the Metrolink was actually the first train company to actually come out in HO, N scale, and so forth. They were really popular when I was trying to collect these. But you also have some other ones. I know you got the Rayron in New Mexico, Metrolink obviously in California, Utah's Front Runners. I can't think of any other ones. There may be one in maybe Miami area. They've got a train company that runs the Bombardier cars. But I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, we've got official product announcement from Athearn. So I am definitely excited about that. They are a bit pricey, but I'm a big fan of Athearn Genesis line. They're definitely reliable. You obviously get the middle wheels, the Katy couplers, all that stuff. So, and looks like they're going to be out pretty darn soon. So I'll probably end up pre-ordering that 3-pack. So definitely excited for those. And then one thing you want to take into consideration when you're buying these cars, there is a difference between like this center section cars and the end car. So this is the kind of the cab, I should say. So most of these cars, they run point to point, and typically they don't turn the train around. They go from front to back. So what the engineer does is typically they will go into the diesel and then run one section, and then they will go into the Bombardier cab section that you can see here. And it's like a little bell and horn and all these other little details that a diesel engine would have, and they would run them backwards. So I'm going to see if I can show you guys how they run. It's definitely unique to say the least. And being in these Bombardier cars on the front runner, they are quite comfortable to say the least too. Okay, I'll take you to one of my favorite YouTube channels that I watch for rail fanning. So give a shout out here to CostaFan2105. I've been following him for a while. But this is the front runner. So I've been on this train. So again, this is a point-to-point engine. So in one direction, the engineer will sit in the actual engine itself and then walk back and go into the Bombardier cab and then run the train backwards. And what's nice is that this actually has a station right next to my home back in the day. So I would definitely ride this to the major cities and so forth. So right here, this is Ogden Station. So this particular area where Ogden Station is, this is where they had the anniversary flag, the 150th Golden Spike anniversary. This is where the big boy and the 844 were nose to nose in their celebration. This is the station that it happened at. And I've taken many pictures of the Ogden Station. They have one of two big blow gas turbines. They've got another Northerner engine that's there. The 838, I believe, is the one that's there. And then they've also got a Centennial there. They have an SD40 Rio Grande. They've got the car that carried the Olympic when the Winter Games were at Salt Lake City, which I did go to, which was a blast to say the least. When the 2002 Olympic Winter Games was in Utah, they had a rail car that was dedicated to carrying the Olympic torch, and I also got to see that. So that was definitely, and you can see the front runner kind of running backwards in this video, just to give you an idea on how it kind of runs. But yeah, I love the front runner. I'm heavily biased. I love this train so much. They haven't really produced, I haven't seen any company produce this single story or single layer car in the UTA color scheme. But I definitely have the Bombardier Cars, which I just showed you. On busier days, they'll actually run 4 Bombardier Cars. On light hour transit, this is the typical train consist that you'll see. So I was really excited when I saw on their Twitter feed, on Athearn's Twitter feed, that they were going to do another generation of the Bombardier Cars. That's downtown Salt Lake City. That's the capital on the mountainside. I love the city. I love the city a lot. Okay, so that is the announcement of the Athearn Genesis. So let me go ahead and do something behind the scenes here. So now you can see kind of, and we'll go ahead and see if we can find a Metrolink as well. So Metrolink Cars. See if I can find another one from coastal trains here. Okay, this is another one that I follow. Okay, I'll show you guys Amtrak Surfliner channel. So here are another example of those Bombardier cars that's available. This is the Metrolink, which is Southern California. And I think they're actually phasing out the Bombardier cars. I think they're going towards this newer style. I'm not familiar with this new style at all, but I think they're Metrolink is phasing out those cars. I don't know if they're like the next generation Metro cars. I'll have to do a little more research to see exactly what those cars are. Okay, and then another one. So let's take a look at the Rail Runner in Arizona. Oh no, New Mexico, excuse me. Rail Runner, New Mexico. Oh, cool. So we got one from Coaster Fan, excuse me. Mispronounced the channel name here. All right, so here's another Bombardier train. This one's in New Mexico, and their color scheme is nice too. I actually have an HO color scheme of this train as well. It's basically like a Roadrunner configuration, and basically the head of the Roadrunner and the tail is on the car, which is I love the color scheme. It's really beautiful. So that's a 3-car configuration. That's typically the standard I've been saying is 3 cars. I don't know if there's any other configuration that Coaster Fan here grabs. But yeah, Coaster Fan definitely does a lot of good rail fanning. Highly, highly recommend a sub to Coaster Fan. Also to our wonderful Lynn McCurdy as well. Definitely don't want to forget you, good sir. Subscribe to him as well. You can see here is, so this one's a 4 configuration, 1, 2, 3, 4 train consist. Yeah, Bombardier Cars. They're definitely one of my favorite passenger configurations. Looks like this one's running 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that one's running 5 and 2 engines. I haven't seen a configuration like that. So that must be their rush hour. Yeah, there's 2 right there. I'll probably do a turntable video with these cars. That's what I should do. So show you guys what I have in that. I'll show you the front runner that I have, and I'll show you the rail runner that I have. So that is the Bombardier Cars from Athearn Genesis. Just to give you guys some perspective. And since we're kind of on the topic, Coaster Fan also got the opportunity to look at the new engines that Amtrak is coming out with. And it's definitely on my radar to get. I can't remember the units' names. I don't know if he actually goes into this. So he just describes the history a little bit. Oh, here we go. Oh, yeah, the ALC. There we go. So the ALC 42 Chargers. So those are the new engines that Amtrak is going to be requesting. And one train consist that I really want to build is the California Zephyr. And I believe one of these engines has been on the Zephyr. And I have to figure out which number it is, but I know they're testing them on the line, so it's going to be really nice. I just wish that someone, I think Athearn Genesis is going to be making these in HO. I know Bachmann right now is the only one that makes them for HO. but I'm really hoping that someone else also makes it. But yeah, we'll see on that one. We will see about that. All right, so that is pretty much the announcement. I was going to do an Icey News video on the Anthem Bombardier, but I think my Icey News videos are going to be merging with my Derailed Conversation. I'm not sure yet if I really want to dedicate to that, but it just gives me talking points that I can do for this podcast. So something that I am experimenting with to see if that works better. Okay, so I've got two articles that I want to talk about. That caught my eye. And this has kind of been a problem for any type of hobby because of the glorious things that are going on in our world. So the Toronto Star, I caught this article because it was recommended to my Google feed. So, model railroading was an underground hobby for years. Collectors explain why it's been picking up steam. Well, gee, I wonder why. All right, so in this article, they basically talk about, sometimes they call it an underground hobby. Hobby's a hobby. Everyone has the thing that they do to pass the time, to have fun, to escape, essentially. And, with the pandemic going on, everyone needed to find their ways to find hobbies, to pass the time, and so forth. So as a result of that, model railroading has been gaining popularity because if you're stuck indoors, what do you think people are going to do? Find hobbies that do inside. So they go to this guy's layout. Great pictures. Beautiful layout. And they basically explain that they've been seeing an uptick in people getting into the hobby. And, as they stated here, the pandemic has grown model railroading exponentially. Serious modelers who have been collecting for years but never had the time to build a model railroad now have that time. And the sales of scenic supplies, buildings, track, and other related items exploded. Now, if you're a model railroader, like myself, you guys probably have felt the supply and demand of the hobby. So my local store is Central Coast Model Railroading, and I started to feel it when it comes to buying track. So I'm part of a modular club, and we've been trying to build modulars, and we have a back order now, in my opinion, of the best track. Again, this is my opinion, and that is Code 83 Pico Track. And the reason why I like Pico Track so much is because you can actually use very small finishing nails to nail down your track ties to the cork to the board. And so you glue it and then you nail it, and that track ain't going anywhere. I've tried Atlas, I tried microengineering, and the pressure of that nail gun is too much for the ties and they shatter. But Pico Track is the only one that I find that works brilliantly. Yeah, exactly, Len. Thanks to good old supply and demand, there's also an uptick in the cost of the material. Yep. That is for sure. And that's all across the board, from scenery to the actual trains themselves to the secondary market. Even the secondary market is getting expensive because you're starting to see this demand for these type of materials. And places like eBay, Facebook Marketplace, Facebook groups, you're starting to see the people who are actually into the hobby raising their prices as well. So, but I've got a feeling that this is happening all across all the other hobbies. So I do have a secondary channel called the Endless Collectibles, link down below. And all my other hobbies that I'm in, they all saw the price increase, both on the primary market and the secondary market as well. So it's not just model railroading, it's everything else. But hopefully, when things start to die down, we'll see the cost come down. My concern is that because us as customers, as we get used to paying this price, I'm concerned that they won't bring the cost down, but we'll see. Yeah, 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 definitely. And that's the other things to think about too. Model railroading kind of got hit in two spots. You got the basic material of what a model railroader would get, but on the other hand, you've also got to get the basic material. So in if you want to go build a layout or a modular layout, you need wood. And unfortunately, a lot of my local um, hardware stores, we definitely saw the price in wood go up. So it's like we kind of got hit in both of those sectors as well, which made the hobby really expensive for the time being. But that's good. That's good. Yeah, I know. Anita was saying that she's going to be getting some big shipments in here pretty soon, which I cannot wait. I'll probably be going up there not this weekend, but the following weekend, before Central Coast Railroad Festival, which I'll do a plug for that at the end. But it's interesting that we're starting to see headlines of model railroading too. When I saw this article, it's like, yeah, it's everyone. I also think about it. It's a good thing too because now, because of the pandemic, it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's a bad thing because we got these prices, but model railroading is starting to get its exposure, and so maybe this is a good thing. Maybe with families starting to get into a little bit. Hopefully, we'll see the next generation get more involved, more interested. Maybe we see more people going to train shows and so forth. So, who knows? Maybe this is actually a good thing for the hobby going in the future. But yeah, that definitely caught my eye when I was going through that article. It's like, cool. It's getting some exposure, which is what the hobby needs. And as we have to do things virtually when the pandemic was at its worst, YouTube definitely became a huge platform for model railroading because at the time, I only had my club, and then I was coming back here to watch other things. I didn't even think about to watch virtual train shows and virtual train show podcasts and everything. So, I also kind of have to thank the pandemic a little bit because it opened my eyes to the whole virtual world as well, to the hobby, and something that we never even thought about, which is virtual ops. That's becoming a huge thing because if you have these elderly gentlemen and ladies who are in the hobby and can't really access the areas that they need to go to do operations, they can do it virtually. So I can't remember what YouTube channel I was watching, but they're kind of leading the way into a hybrid ops situation where you can log in and run a train virtually, or you can be there in person. And I think that's fantastic. So I'm definitely excited to see where the future goes. And then also for train shows, you know, with the NMRA doing their virtual train shows and events and so forth, it could potentially lead to other great things, to hybrid train shows. I'm hoping they push with this, that you can buy a virtual ticket. I mean, you got these gaming corporations that do it. You can pay to go in person, or you can buy a virtual ticket to go see the events. So I'm really hoping that, same with the model railroading community and the NMRA, I really hope those guys realize that there can be an audience virtually as well. But we'll see. We'll see. Because sometimes, depending on who's in charge of the NMRA, they can go back into the old ways of, oh, it's better in person. You can get hands-on experience. You can get all the pictures. You can network, socialize, so forth. But I also think if you want to bring in the next generation, next generation, they're living virtual. So we might as well help the hobby evolve into that virtual domain so that way we can get more people into it. And hopefully, we can do that. Hopefully we can do that. But yeah. We shall see. So on to the next topic that I got. So let's go ahead and bring this up. There's kind of two companies that are doing some interesting things, to say the least. So Walther's announced that they're going to be doing turnouts debut with DCC-friendly features. So you can see that the frog connections, stock rails, frog rails, throw bars, so on and so forth. So turnouts are DCC friendly. Oops, let me go ahead and share my screen here before I forget. There we go. So on Model Railroad website, Walthers announced that they're going to do HO scale turnouts debut with DCC friendly features, which is interesting because Walthers and Pico are my two favorite when it comes to turnouts. Atlas is just outright crap in my opinion, because they're manufacturally made and their quality is not that great. Because I've had a lot of issues with Atlas turnouts when one of my mentors from the local club here, him and I were building a kind of switchman's nightmare, is what we called the modular, and we just messed with Atlas Code 100. And there was just a lot of issues, a lot of manufacturing defaults. There were some sections within the frog that we had to file down, and it was just a headache. And then we experimented with both Walthers and Pico turnouts, and they were a lot better. Obviously, Pico, you're going to have to adjust if you want. So one thing to know, I know it's kind of a tangent, but if you're dealing with Pico turnouts, you really need to understand how do you want to throw your switches. And that can be said for even Walthers as well. If you're going to be using a slow motion machine or I forgot the other type already, slow motion machine, and I think it's oh man, name escapes me. Hang on, that's driving me nuts. So you got the turtle, and you got the other one. Hang on, turn out machines. I think it's turnout point machines is what they call it. Solenoid. I think it's solenoid machines. But anyways, the difference is with a slow motion machine, the machine gets basically a current signal and then pushes basically a bar slowly to switch your throws. So that's where the Smales and the tortoise machine come into play. And then you got your other ones. I think Walthers, Bachmann, Atlas, they make snap track. Basically, it snaps from one point to the other. It doesn't have like a slow motion. But anyways, if you want to convert a Pico track to slow motion, you got to remove the spring that's in there. And I know there's plenty of, I think Tom's Training Things may have a tutorial video on how to do that, but I know I've seen it out there. So yeah, Walthers is now getting into the business. It said turnouts that are DC friendly minimize the possibility of short shutting down part of Modular Railroad due to metal wheels contacting adjacent rails. The new Walthers track line out turnouts are available in Code 83, which is what I would recommend. Shinohara. That is one I am not familiar with. I'm more familiar with, the name brand ones. I'll have to look into that one. I have to look into that one. So my niche is that I prefer to have some sort of, I don't know, can you connect that to a network like LocalNet? Because what I like to do in the future is I want, kind of my dream is to have an entire layout that's controlled via JMRI. So I've done, and right now I'm only familiar with Digitrax. I've done super dig. I've been digging, I've been researching into Digitrax, and I actually have a sample of how I'm able to control turnout using JMRI. I will probably end up doing a video on that a little bit later. But I can actually control a turnout multiple different ways. I've got it configured to where you can do a push button. You can control it from the Digitrax controller or from JMRI. So I can't wait to show you guys that. But Code 83, I definitely prefer Code 83 over Code 100. It's just a personal preference. So that's awesome that they're going to do that. And then turnouts from number 4 to number 10 and number 6 double crossover with turnouts 20 inches, 2020, and 24-28. And then we can go to the website here, which is nice. And then some other things. Let's see here. Yep, here we go. So there's the 100s. And then there's their Code 83 right here. So 34, that's on par with Pico. Pico is usually in this ballpark. So yeah, I'm excited though. There's going to be more competition, and competition is always healthy because then prices can come down. Pico kind of had the Pico and Micro Engineering kind of had the market a little bit, but now that Walthers is getting into, especially the Code 83 stuff. Those two are definitely big into Code 83. So the other thing about turnouts is that Bachmann has now released their version of the DCC turnout system. Now, let's just say Bachmann's DCC system is not the greatest. My personal recommendation when it comes to Bachmann is if you absolutely are tight on space and need to go into a floor layout, don't recommend floor layouts because then all the hair can get into your engines. Then go with the Bachmann Easy Track system. I absolutely love because you can easily set it up, put it on a Christmas tree, or put it on the floor layout, and go from there. I'm trying to see if I can find that product line here. But they've just announced that their switch boxes for their Easy Track turnouts, they are now DCC configured. However, there's a big however with that statement. Those boxes are only compatible to their DCC system. From what I saw in their product line and from their videos, you can't really connect it to any type of local network. So if you want to do DCC, do the research and go into a command system. Go into a system that has a local net capability. So originally, I grew up with Digitrax, so I kind of know the ins and outs of Digitrax. However, I don't know much about NCE. That's the next system I'm going to study up eventually once I understand and become an expert in Digitrax. Also, thanks to Humane City Junction, who I highly recommend following. You may see me and Lynn on his shows on Monday nights and Friday mornings. But he has showed his audience a system called DigiKeys 5000 command station, and I'm 100 on board on getting that. For my personal layout, for when it comes to modulars, I'm still going to stick with Digitrax just because that's what my club uses. That's the one I'll be using for my modulars. But if I do like a professional home layout that's not going to be moving or anything, probably in my retirement home, I'm going to be using DigiKeys because that is the most versatile command station. You can plug in mostly any type of controller. It has wireless capabilities. You can connect it to JMRI. You can use a programming. You can use mainline track. There's so many different things that you can do with DigiKeys. Let me actually show you guys. So I'm going to go to Iron Planet Hobbies real quick because I like Iron Planet Hobbies. It is cheap, and it's cheaper than most places that I can get. And then I kind of use some codes to get things cheaper. But let me show you guys the DigiKeys real quick. Now we're kind of completely going on Derailed section here, and it's cheap. The command station is really cheap too. For what it does, it's insane. So this is and Iron Planet Hobbies also has a nice tutorial video. That's another great thing about this hobby store. So yeah, this is the command station DR5000. To my understanding, the controllers, you can use both NCE and Digitrax, and you can connect it to the local network for this command station. Now, to give you perspective, the DigiKey and the Digitrax version of something very similar to this, which is a DR 240, or no, sorry, command station CS 240. No, I think there's a different version I'm thinking of. It's a little bit more expensive, but wow, this is actually a big discount they got going on for it. Yeah, this is so $375 is the cost that I'm used to seeing. That's actually a lot cheaper. So about the same page. But again, Digitrax, to my understanding, you can only use Digitrax or any local net compatible controller. But you can't use the more fancier controllers, especially the more wireless ones. The name escapes me with the DigiKeys DR5000. But anyways, that's kind of a side topic. Going back to Bachmann. So maybe is this what I'm thinking of? No, that's the easy app. But yeah, Bachmann announced their DCC, but it only works with kind of their DCC system. They kind of show you. Bachmann has their own DCC command station, essentially. It was kind of the first one that came out. I tried it, and when I was messing with it, I fried it, and that was the end of that. So I was not impressed with their DCC command system at all. And it's like no one uses their command station because you got Digitrax, you got NCE, you got so many good and better alternatives that clubs and train shows and layouts use. Not worth it. Not worth it. Stick to NCE, Digitrax, whatever. In my opinion, again, there's always a big fight. Should I use NCE? Should I use Digitrax? Or should I use, I think ESU is another one. And my recommendation is use what. So let me put in this perspective. It depends. If it's kind of like a flow chart. Do you have like one flow chart direction option is, do you have a local club in your area? If you do, check them out and see what system they're using. Because if you understand what system they're using, you have other people that can help you gain the knowledge of that system. So that way you can have a foundation. All the clubs and train shows that I've been to always run Digitrax. So that's why it was kind of a no-brainer. Let me just go Digitrax. Let me understand how it is, because I've got other experts around me that if I have problems with it, I can have the discussion on it. If cost is an issue, I kind of recommend going Digitrax. And here's why. I just need to find a number here real quick. So if you come from the realm of the DC world, if you're used to just having a starter set and you want to get into DCC, I recommend Digitrax Cypher Express starter set. And the reason why I say that is because if you come from DC, you're so used to having that one box that controls the track. And this is very similar. It's just it connects to the track just like normal DC. But now you have the interface to actually program the addresses to make your layout DCC. And what's beautiful about this is that you can control switches, you can control function lights, you can program, you can connect it to a computer. It has a built-in, this guy right here has a built-in, I think, PR4 computer interface. Let me just double check that. I'm pretty sure it does. Yeah, it's an all-in command station. Over 9,000 addresses. Yeah, so it has a built-in read and write programmer to read all CVCs. So you can connect this. It has a USB port, a PR5 built into it, so you can connect it via JMRI. And for 174, that's not a bad price. Like I said, it's a command station, it's a throttle, it's a DCC command station, it's a program. It has 2 local net ports. So if you want to expand to, I think you can connect this to boosters. I'll have to do more research on that. But yeah, it's just a great, if you really want to get into DCC and you're used to being in the DC world, this is a great starter controller for you. And that's why I tell people, it's like, it just depends on which way you want to go. And then if you want to be more, and the other thing I would recommend too is that this would be good if you have like a small single track oval layout. Now, if you want to go bigger, that's when I'd suggest you start doing your own research. If you want to get into a personal layout, then do your research. You know, there's NCE, there's DigiKeys, there's Digitrax, and that's when you can start branching out into which system you want to go into. That's kind of my 2 cents. And I will probably end up doing a separate video on that topic because that question gets asked a lot. You know, which DCC systems do I want to get into? So this is kind of a pre-log to that video that I'll do eventually in the future. But that's kind of my take on that. Cool. And that is that. Alrighty, guys. I have hit everything that I want to talk about. Oh, yeah, and that's great advice, too. That is perfect advice there. Do your research. Again, you're going to have to do your research. It takes some time. And it's like, another thing, too, is that what do you want your layout to do? That's also a big thing when it comes to DCC. And don't be afraid to find a personal dealer or a hobby store or a club or and so forth, and get your answers. And it's like, when I was debating which system I wanted to go into, I knew exactly what I want my layout to do. I want a dispatcher's station, essentially. I want a panel that I can see where my train is at, or I can click a turnout and it clicks onto a layout, or I can run an engine from my computer. I want a computer system that control my entire layout, see my entire layout, where my trains are on the layout, all from one central command station. So me personally, I am going to go with the Digitrax system, but the brains of the operation, I am going to go with DigiKeys because it gives me so much more versatility when it comes to what I want to do. But the whole goal was to basically run a JMRI layout, and I have figured all that out. I just now got to hone in on my process, and I'll do a separate video on how I've done that. So. But yeah, guys, that is going to be the end here. I got nothing else to really talk about, and I'm going to be doing another podcast on my After Dark channel. It's been wonderful talking to you guys here on the live stream, or if you watch this video in the future. Hopefully you found this entertaining. Feel free to look at all the content that I do. I've got all my links to all my channels down below. Also, I've got a link to my website, rayronvr.com, that you'll find all my information, all the podcasts that I'm eventually going to be doing, and the channels that I'm going to be on, and so forth. So thank you, Lynn. Also, please follow and subscribe to Lynn's channel. Yeah, sure, man. I'll definitely catch you around the interwebs. But with that, guys, I've got an extra song, and I will see you guys next week here on the mythical Railroad Derailed Conversations edition. With that, take it easy, everyone.